Jerusalem is Israel's spiritual center. Tel Aviv is its secular playground. Modern, fashionable, and with kilometers of beachfront, it's not surprising the people here have a reputation for working hard and playing hard. Since its creation in the early part of the 20th century, Tel Aviv has always embraced the new, and today's trendy designer cafe culture can be traced to an earlier period in the city's history. Tel Aviv is also known as the White City and has the highest concentration of Bauhaus architecture in the world. The Bauhaus, or International Style, was a modernist movement imported from Europe in the 1930s, at a time when fascism and anti-Semitism were on the rise. Finding it more difficult to practice, many Jewish architects left Europe and came to Tel Aviv, where they discovered a rapidly expanding city open to new ideas. Ganit is a local architect inspired by the Bauhaus.
This is the Rubinsky house. It's a really nice example of so-called Bauhaus architecture that you can see here. They were the first generation to use concrete. There are many things here that can be done with concrete, but you cannot do with bricks. The rounded balconies,
so it's very
the
cheap,
concrete.
I mean, inexpensive for them to use
that
materials.
was part of the political agenda of the modern movement. The idea was like, let give people good quality of life without mannerism, in very simple materials, in a way that reflects what they really need, not any pompous, grand style. Ornament is crime, you know. There's this sort of famous saying by Adolf Loos. The simpler the better. But, you know, they're doing ornaments with these small drainage holes.
But they are, because you only need one drain hole.
Yeah,
per balcony,
exactly.
right?
You don't really need them, but, you know, they had to find a function.
What about the color? I noticed a lot of them are light colored like this.
Part of the simplicity and the modesty and the wish to create some new and clean, I would say, reality, I think, was the choice of white.
There are over 3,000 examples of the Bauhaus style in Tel Aviv. With an emphasis on large social housing, the architects of the day found many opportunities to make bold and innovative statements.
That's called the shipbuilding. Wasn't the original idea of the architect that this would be the name.
People just started calling it that.
It's definitely became an iconic sort of building. One of the reasons it looks like is actually very, very simple. The plot is very, very narrow. They used all the space they could build.
It's a corner space, yeah.
Yeah, this is the shape that came out. On the top, interestingly enough, there's a synagogue. Or
really?
there was a synagogue.
Synagogue on a ship?
It. Yeah.
Have a good view up there. So you're taking me to a hotel cinema. Is this a hotel that shows lots of movies, or?
So actually, not movies now. Now it's more of a hotel. This building is very unique. It's not unique in this square because all the buildings here are the same, as you notice. The buildings were conceived as the sort of backdrop of this public space that didn't look the way it looked now. It was the most lively central plaza of Tel Aviv.
Okay.
This was a cinema.
Right.
Still, it looked like this building or another building that was just housing.
So no matter what was put here, it all had to have that style.
Yeah, exactly.
This is an extraordinarily nice staircase.
The staircases generally were a very important feature in the architecture of this period. This because it was a cinema, it was a public building. There wasn't an opportunity to do something with a bit more grand, you know.
I see.
But the crowning achievement of the period can usually be found at the top.
Yeah. The really nice thing about the Bauhaus architecture is that they discovered the roof. One of the main principles about the Bauhaus was that the roof is actually a space, a communal space for socializing. And you can see there that all the rooftops were actually social spaces.
Yeah.
And And in the hot weather, without air conditioning at the time, it was the place to be.
Well, the neat thing I see here is the buildings are actually incorporating this central plaza.
The Bauhaus here was such a movement and made such an impact. It's because it was a group of young pioneers, very passionate, full of ideology, that came here, and they had here this ideal testing ground for all their ideas. They could build it. I mean, it's the dream of every young architect.
Sure.